I'm super excited to start building my custom workstation. But before I can do that, we have to make sure this space is adequately sealed and safe. It got a bit complicated, so I made a flowchart. Stick around if you want to see it. This is Reanderthal.
The first part of this Paleo Workspace project is just getting the basement ready, and there were a handful of issues to deal with. We started with rodent issues, and have now moved on to air leaks. We will also have to deal with water, and possibly radon. When all that's done, we may consider aesthetics, to some degree or other. Since our budget is limited, we're testing the radon levels and monitoring the humidity. We're going to do what we need to do to solve these problems, but we don't want to sink more money than we need to into this, so we're going to let the numbers guide us. But this is important. We couldn't just do the radon test immediately. We had to work out an order of operations. So, what is radon? Radon is an odorless gas which is heavier than air and so tends to collect in the lowest areas of a building. It exists to various degrees in the ground and will flow from there through cracks or porous materials to enter a building. If you're going to test for radon, you want to test when it's at its worst, which is in the winter. This is because there's less air flowing in the space, the windows tend to be closed, and because of something called the stack effect. When you heat your home, the warm air rises, which tends to suck cold air in down below. Of course, most of that air comes in from above ground, but some of the air will actually come in from below the surface. Now, here's the other tricky part. Plugging air leaks will reduce your heating costs, but it could increase radon levels. So, if you plan on plugging air leaks, you really should do that before testing for radon. So, we were hustling to get our air leaks plugged while we were still squarely in the heating season.
Testing with the air leaks plugged, but the cracks in the walls and the floors mostly unpatched, is going to give us the worst possible numbers. If they do come back high, it'll be interesting to see how much of a difference just patching can make.
Now, I do just want to say that the best time to do radon remediation is as your home is being built. Basically, as I understand it, they run some perforated tubes underground and then run a pipe up above the level of your eaves. The stack effect in the pipe then clears the radon out from underneath your foundation. We don't know what, if anything, was done when this home was constructed. There certainly aren't any exterior pipes that go up past the eaves. We do know that our neighbors have a remediation setup, and their house was built at the same time by the same contractor. We also have this mystery pipe out back that the inspector couldn't identify. So if we do find radon issues, perhaps this is something we may be able to plug into. So, the flowchart. We've sealed the bulkhead, which was where we think the rodents were getting in. And after catching a dozen or so, we haven't caught any for at least several weeks. I think we've solved that problem, for now at least. We made some interior storm window inserts and sprayed foam around the window frames and the bulkhead stairs. Once we wrapped up that, we finally started the test. Of course, we could spend a lot of money making this the most impervious basement possible, but we want to limit our spending, so we're going to let the numbers guide us. We know we're going to have to deal with moisture to some degree or other, but to know just how much, we'll be monitoring with a hygrometer. I'm also going to be making a new desk and shelving, so I have to get the materials for that. No reason to wait for that. Another thing we know we'll be using is a sealant for the water leaks. Once we get the results from the radon test back, we'll know how deep we'll have to dive in. If the value is over 4 picocuries per liter, That's over the official limit, and we'll have to do something. We'll start sealing cracks immediately. We might have waited for leaks to appear otherwise, since the sealants apparently work better with a moist surface. And we'll consider sealing the surface of the floor. Then we'll retest. Values between 2 and 4 picocuries per liter are not over the official limit, but there is a sort of advisory limit at 2, so although we won't act with quite the same urgency, we will look into the most cost-effective ways to reduce radon to a level of 2 or below. If our level comes back under 2, we should be okay on the radon front. If we have an acceptable radon situation and the necessary office furniture, I'll be good to start moving in. Back to the moisture. We have cracks that are going to leak. This is not an if, but a when. When they do leak, our plan is to apply a crystallizing sealant. But this is a basement in a wet area, so I think it's unavoidable that there will be some dampness. We do have dehumidifiers, and that may be enough, although they do draw power, so in the long run, the more we can do by sealing, the better. Some very quick research seemed to suggest that server farms should be okay with humidity under 80%, although 60% is a more commonly cited number. For my purposes, I would probably be fine with higher humidities, but I'll use 80% as a guardrail for now. If the relative humidity goes over 80% with the dehumidifiers running, I may have to move the office upstairs temporarily and consider coating the entire walls with a sealant, probably a product like Zypex or Coster, both of which were recommended by a friend. So, there's our boring flowchart.
As I said in part 1, I'm not an expert in any of this. If there's something I've gotten wrong or something you think people should know, let us know in the comments. Thanks.